quote. Let's tell you a little bit about where's the Barney stuff. I'll give you some quotes of how Barney's been doing, okay? For years, Frank was a mediocre fundraiser. In 2002, he was ranked 185th. He didn't raise money that well. Out of 215 Democrats, that's like the bottom of the barrel, okay? In the House, in total fundraising, previous years were similarly unimpressive. That all changed in 2002 when he became the most important Democrat on the Financial Services Committee. Replacing Representative John LaFasse, whatever he was, in the following election cycle, Frank increased his fundraising fivefold. You get that? From like $268,000 to $1.4 million a year. I'm sure he's getting more now. What's interesting is the guys that work the full guy, these are the guys who, you know, his helpers. I should tell you a little bit about, let's talk about the people in Barney's office, but his helpers were the ones that helped kill Glass-Steagall. Oh yeah, how did all that derivatives and stuff go down? Yeah, Enron, how did all that, you know? So it's interesting because, you know, you've got LaForce is credited for being a key force behind the landmark legislation in the history of financial deregulation, the Graham-Leach-Bailey Act. Okay? The GLB, as it's known, tore down the walls between commercial and investment banks, set up by the Depression-era Glass-Steagall Act. Why that's important. These same people that were the staffers for the previous guy, who helped create the financial, you know, they did this during Clinton, it took effect during Bush. These same staffers, they're now Barney staffers. How interesting, huh? Soon after the legislation passed, it gets better. This is, once again, is a great article on the Barnstar. You should learn a lot about, how this scum from Massachusetts works. By relying on Stewart and Roslinwick, can't pronounce it, during the unfurling of the financial crisis, Frank has looked to the very enablers of the recent financial catastrophe to remedy the current situation. Did you get that? So the guys that work for the scumbag before Barney now work for Barney. Okay? And it's interesting. Fellow staffer, let's see, Lorraine Stewart, has an embarrassing history in financial products known as derivatives. How surprising, okay? And was supposed to address. Stewart, now Senior Counsel Financial Services, helped the Clinton-era legislation that cleared the way for the great derivatives explosion of the Bush years, which eventually brought down AIG to its knees in September of 2008, okay? She was the Undersecretary of the Treasury, Gary Gensler's top lieutenant, helped craft the legislation known as the Commodities Futures Modernization Act. Boy, they're real good at writing laws that help their crony buddies. Yeah, who gives them their money? Maybe you'll know who they work for. So I ask you, Barney, who do you work for? That's my Barney question. Stewart's authorship of legislation is evident in the sublatory email on the Enron lobbyist sent December 12th. Oh, yeah, I remember Enron. Who helped enable that? Barney's staffers? What do you expect, you viewers? I can't even get, okay. As discussed, okay, Baker One forwards derivatives lobbyist Ken Reasoner, who then forwards it to Enron lobbyist Chris Long, who then passes it along to the rest of Enron lobbying team with the brief analysis closing with, they may cut a deal as early as this afternoon. So who's helping Enron? Kind of behind the scenes stuff, huh? Financial Services Committee Chairman. And what's his new thing going to do? What's Barney up to? This is the guy who what? Steals from your grandchildren, but tells you he's probably for the widow guy, because he's just a widow guy. He's Barney. I'm Barney. Oh, it really irks me, because anyway, how about this one? Stewart's considerable personal fortune was derived from the murky world of international energy privatization, which Enron dominated until its demise. Her husband, hey, the girl's married, okay, Mark Cantor, worked in the field of international project finance attorney at the law firm of Milbank and Tweed, okay, throughout the 90s. What was interesting about that, Milbank and Tweed worked closely with Enron on numerous energy deals. How interesting, and off-the-balance sheet financing. Barney, who are your staffers and who are they related to, and what history do they bring? Barney, okay, to the extent that the University of California filed suit against the firm in 1999. So yeah, her husband's with the crooks from Enron, evidently, helping them steal because he's an attorney, just like that. Oh man, don't even get me going. Cantor himself worked on at least one Enron-owned project, a Turkish power plant named Tyrika Electric. Okay, two other Frank staffers passed through Wall Street, D.C. revolving door in 2007 and 2008, but in opposite directions. His special counsel, James W. Siegel, lobbied for the Investment Company Institute, a mutual fund body. Oh, yeah, that's the guys Barney hires, right? Because he's for the people, okay? For 10 years before joining Frank's staff, board members of ICI include representatives of Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan. Well, do you remember the TARP or the bailout, where on one day, Goldman Sachs and J.P. Morgan were changed into bank holding companies. So anyway, I'll ask you once again, who do you think Barney Frank works for? So anyway, bankers get $4 trillion. Here's a little article for you. This is from David Riley. Bankers get $4 trillion. Show them the picture because they won't believe me. From Barney Frank. That's what Dave Riley says. This is interesting. H.R. 4173. That's the House resolution we were just talking about. That's Barney's. Okay? The financial reform legislation. Okay? The baby of Financial Services Committee Chairman Barney Frank, the House bill is meant to address everything from too-big-to-fail banks to asleep-at-the-switch credit rating companies to the protection of consumers from greedy lenders. Well, we just found out that it's another boondoggle, huh? Yet we're told one thing, we're sold one thing, and something else happens. So I'll ask you, viewers, who does Barney Frank work for? Yeah. If you're a banker, this bill is tastier. While banks oppose the legislation, they should cheer for its passage by the full Congress in the new year. There are huge giveaways ensuring the government will again rescue banks and Wall Street if the need arises. Well, if crooks are on Wall Street, that'd be a surprise. And crooks are in D.C., another big, huge surprise. Is a district of criminals? Okay, you love this one. Blah, 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 you know, nuggets gleaned. Instead, it supports the biggest banks. It authorized the Federal Reserve banks to provide as much as $4 trillion in emergency funding the next time Wall Street crashes. Well, we don't care if Main Street crashes, do we, Barney? We don't care if your state crashes, do we, Barney? But heck no, if Wall Street crashes, Barney Frank cares. Who you working for, Barney? So anyway, there's some more Barney stuff. I'll just, once again, when it comes to railroading legislation through, do you remember the TARP, the banker bailout? Remember that, viewers? Do you remember, you know, the Military Commissions Act? Oh, yeah. Do you remember the immigration bill that, you know, once again, Kennedy was trying to push through? Railroad nothing. Do you remember the John Warner Defense Authorization Act? Once again, if you do the math, right now our Defense Department spends more than the 50 states combined. So you ask yourself, what are they defending? The money thing. Think about the money thing. If they take over health care, that's 20% of the economy. They already control 25 to 30 with the defense industry. And you add on that Barney's new financial piece, the government will be running all things. What do they call that? Is that freedom? Is that liberty? So I got news for you people. It's time to start thinking. Matt, maybe someday you'll have a good shirt like that. All right. I want to leave you with a Jefferson quote. Here's a Jefferson quote for you. We need the chains of the Constitution to bind government. And Bernard, I hope you see the show because I want you to know something. When you don't keep up your oath to the Constitution, you don't represent me. Thanks for watching. This is The Real Story.
Question is, will they kill untold millions as they did in the last century? It is not the elite cockroaches that determine that. It is you.